Roland, you're welcome. You're just finding us when we're about to kick off. And today, we want to talk about anybody can sell online. That's the topic of my presentation today. I'm David Okuya. I'm the shop manager, the shopkeeper, if you will, of Odukar store. Right. So I've been running Odukar store for 4 years now. And ideally, I just want to share some of my experiences and expertise in running this e-commerce store, and basically just share experiences with people out there who want to build their own, who want to sell their own stuff, or people who are already selling and they just want to see how they can augment on their activities and amplify their online presence and sales. That's the purpose of this presentation, and then hopefully at the end I can show you some of the e-commerce solutions that we have. Okay, so that's a brief about me. I'm a software developer as well as a subsistence farmer. Okay, so what do you need to sell online? You basically need roughly 5-6 things really. You need to have an online presence. That's number one, and we're going to see how you can establish one in a number of ways. You need a delivery method. Basically, you have to find a way of delivering those physical goods from your location to your customer wherever they are. That's really essential. Then you need to find a payment method that works. Yes, because when goods exchange, and in this case we are looking at physical goods, the customer has to pay you one way or the other. So we'll look at all the various payment methods that you can consider, and what works, and I'll be sharing my experiences on some of the things that actually worked and what didn't really work. Okay, right. Then you need marketing. This is really important, right? Because unlike traditional retail, where people are, your store is located like on the roadside or on a shopping mall, for example. Here, when you're selling online, you basically have to tell people where you are and how they can find you, which is where you store your physical goods. So is that going to be like your retail store, for example, your shop, or is it going to be maybe some warehouse somewhere, or is it going to be at home? So for my stuff, actually just store it at home. So my warehouse is home, right? Then customer support. This is really, really, really essential, as it accounts for how the user experience or the customer experience really is when you're running an online store, right? Yes. Okay. So when it comes to building an online presence, you also have roughly 4 different ways that you can establish that. Number one is a marketplace, and I'm going to be looking at each of these, right? And a marketplace is a bit like a shopping mall, except that this is totally online. Then you have classifieds. This was actually how these things started before they moved into marketplaces. Then you have social media. This is where you sell your stuff on social media channels like WhatsApp or Instagram or Facebook or Twitter. Then you have the fourth option where you actually run your own fully fledged e-commerce website. So I'm going to be digging into each of these very, very briefly. All right. So when you choose a marketplace like Jumia, for example, here, or Amazon, if you intend to sell globally, what are some of the pros and cons of selling on a marketplace, right? A marketplace essentially just aggregates various vendors into one portal where customers can then come and browse through products and then choose which product they want, and then the marketplace takes care of everything. They take care of the logistics, payment processing, advertising, marketing, and all that stuff. Yes, so it's just one big shopping mall that is online, and people just aggregate and browse and find what they want. So the pros: you have a large customer base. Essentially, these guys pouring a lot of money into marketing and advertising in order to attract demand, right? And you've seen Jumia doing this quite a bit posters all over the place, billboards, radio ads, YouTube ads, and all this stuff, because they really want to create that demand so that they can attract customers and then, of course, make it appealing to vendors. Then you have built-in trust and credibility. These guys take a lot of steps to ensure that, you know, they have their brand is recognized, it's trusted by the customers, there's credibility. So when you see Jumia, you know, you should be able to have that trust that I'm dealing with an entity, and if there is a problem, these guys can sort me out, right? The same thing with Amazon. This is like one of the most trusted brands out there, actually, right? Then the other pro is marketing tools, right? So some of these online stores actually have marketing tools built in. So on Jumia, you can actually, like for example, promote your product by buying a few like in-house ads actually on the platform. The same thing with Amazon, right? You can actually promote your product within the platform in there if you think that you're not gaining enough traction, right, organically. So you have those built-in marketing and advertising tools in the marketplace itself to drive traffic, drive conversion, and so forth. Right. Now, the cons of this is that, number one, you have high commission fees. Now, we know that retail is a low margin business. And so, you know, commission fees, if they go beyond a certain threshold, then it becomes really, you know, untenable for vendors. It becomes unfeasible. For example, Jumia sometimes charges up to 15% on certain product categories like electronics, or even 10%, right? So if, you know, your profit margin is around that, then you're basically giving the marketplace all your margins, right? And that is not something that is good. And the other thing is you have high competition from other sellers. And this is something that is actually endemic of marketplaces. So you have a lot of different sellers who are selling the same thing. So what happens is that they undercut themselves, right? So if both of us are selling, for example, an iPhone 16 at maybe 1.8, and then somebody is going to come and say, I'm going to probably sell it at 1.7. Then another guy is going to come in and say, I'm going to sell it at 1.65. So it is a race to the bottom in terms of pricing, and that's not really good for business. So that high competition creates that price wars, and you don't want to do that, because then it drives down your margins, and, you know, basically you're losing at the end of the day, right? You have limited control over branding and the customer. This is really important for me, and it's I think it's one of my biggest cons here. Essentially, when you start selling on like Jumia or Amazon, you don't have access to the customer at all, right? So you're selling and you're giving your product to Amazon or Jumia, and then it is up to Jumia to interact with the customer. So essentially, for you, the customer is a black hole. You don't really know where they are, who they are, what their interests are, what their feedback is, and so forth, right? This is bad for business, because business is built on relationships, right? So if you don't have access to that customer, you don't have that feedback from the customer, you don't have that relationship with the customer, then how is this scalable? How are you able to grow? You know, how are you able to build your brand over time? So for me, this is really like the worst thing about marketplaces, that access to the customer is cut off from you. And of course, it's built by design, right? Because now if the marketplace gives you access to the customer, then how are they able to be in business? Right. Then you have strict policies. Here you have to abide by the policies of the marketplace, and some of them are extremely strict, right? And if one of the policies probably doesn't align with the way that you do business, then you have no choice but to just boot out or get out of that marketplace. So you have to play by their rules, in other words. And some of the rules, if they don't work for you, then that's just too bad, right? So let's move on to the next model, okay, to the next thing, which is classifieds, okay? You're probably seeing Gigi here and AutoCheck, okay? AutoCheck is specifically for cars, actually. Here the pros is that it's free to list. So when you start selling on Gigi, it's absolutely free. It's a no-brainer. Just create an account, start uploading your products, and you're good to go. It's really, really that simple. Then you have immediate cash transactions. This is one of the attractions of this marketplace here. It's instant because the transactions are person to person, they are face to face. So if I'm selling my old iPhone or an iPad, I just have to meet the customer and the transaction is done there and then, cash, right? No settlements, no waiting for bank transfers, nothing. It's just right there. Then you have a wide variety of categories. If you go to Gigi right now, there is a lot of stuff that you can sell there, from cars to land to old furniture to electronics to clothes. It's just a lot. So that's one of the beauties about classifieds. You can find things there that you ideally wouldn't, buy from anywhere else. So yes, of course, unless they are niche-based whatever's classifieds like AutoCheck, for example, then it's also easy to use, because there's not so much going on. There's not so much plumbing going on. You just have to upload your product and just wait for that call from the customer. Okay. The cons, number one, buyer protection. This is the biggest problem with the things, right? There is no buyer protection. There is no seller protection. Ideally, when you make contact with the customer, it is up to you and that customer. So people have fallen into various scams with these classifieds, right? I've heard stories of people selling on like these classified platforms. Somebody was selling furniture, and then a customer comes and says, I'm going to pay you in dollars, and then you get very, very excited that you're getting a good deal, only to realize later that the dollars are actually fake, right? When you go to the Forex Bureau. So the scams are plenty, and you have to be sharp. And you're not going to blame Gigi. They're just going to say, hey, you didn't read our terms and conditions, our policies, right? It's up to you. It's entirely up to you. There is absolutely zero buyer protection, and the liability is 100% on you. That is the biggest problem with classified. So you have to be extremely sharp if you're going to use them. Two, there is no marketing and ad tools built in like in marketplaces. So when you're going to sell in classifieds, you have to do your own marketing. You have to find ways of finding customers. You probably by sharing links and driving people to your page and all that, right? Although, of course, now with Gigi, you can actually buy ads and promote your product to surface like on the homepage or something. Then there is no fulfillment support, there is no logistics, there's no payment processing, there is nothing. Everything you handle it yourself, right? So Gigi only just publishes a product, and then everything falls back on you. So there's a bit of more work that gets to you. Then there's limited reach. So classifieds are usually locally focused. So you find a classified that focuses, say, in Uganda or just around Kampala, right? Yes. With the non-traditional classifieds like Kampala Experts, for example, it's purely it's a social media page on Facebook that focuses basically on Kampala alone. So they focus primarily in a specific locality, and that limits your market. Okay. So let's move on now to social media. This is my favorite. DM for price. Yes. So we have WhatsApp, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. There are a lot of people that are selling products on these platforms, right? So the pros are you have a broad audience. You have about over 2 million users on Facebook. I think on Twitter we have roughly 1 million. On WhatsApp it's roughly maybe around also 2 million, and so forth, right? Yes. So you have a broad base of an audience. Okay. Although you have to grow that audience, you have to get people to like your Facebook page or follow you on Twitter or so forth. But ideally, the people are there. You just have to bring them to you. Then it's free to set up. It's easy to set up. All you have to do is to just create an account, and boom, you're ready to go. Then you have direct interaction with customers. This is my favorite, actually. right? Where when a product is advertised, then somebody is able to reach out to you directly via a private DM, and you're able to directly interact with a customer on a person to person basis. So there's a little bit of that interactivity that you probably won't find on a marketplace, right? Then there's personalized marketing. You can actually run very, very targeted ads, like on Facebook, and choose a specific age group, a demographic, a specific audience that you want to reach. So all these platforms have built-in advertising mechanisms, and you can actually run very, very targeted ads across. Yes. The cons, you have no integrated e-commerce tools. Essentially, it's just a Facebook post or a Twitter or a WhatsApp post. That's it. So inventory management, stock management, payment processing, logistics, it's absolutely all on you, and it's completely manual, all of it. Okay, so it's not integrated. I know Facebook has tried to do with Facebook shops. It didn't really pan out very well. Also, WhatsApp has been trying to do something around, WhatsApp shops. It works in India and Brazil. For some reason, they haven't given it a lot of focus in our markets. Okay, then you have high competition. There are a lot of people that are selling on these platforms, on Facebook, on Instagram, and you're competing with them as well. So you have to know that. And then there is algorithm dependency, which essentially means that your products are dependent on how the algorithm works. So if some of your products are deemed inappropriate according to these platforms' rules, then it limits the reach of your marketing efforts, right? Yes, and these algorithms change a lot. Then you also have trust issues. Essentially, customers are wary of things that are being sold on social media. Again, social media is a bit like classifieds as well. There are those trust issues. People don't know if what you're selling is exactly what they are going to get or buy. And there is no intermediary. When something goes wrong, it's not like they're going to contact Facebook support or WhatsApp support and say I was scammed. No, it's absolutely up to them. So people are a bit wary. You have to build that trust from the ground up. Okay, then this is my favorite, which is you running your own store. It's also the most difficult and the most expensive, right? Here you have complete control across a lot of things, from the design of your web store, how it looks like, the pricing of your products, the branding. So many things are absolutely in your control. You have brand recognition. Here you can build a strong brand identity with your customers. So if you intend to do this for a very long time, then I absolutely recommend that you actually build your own store, right? Yes, because you have the time to actually create that brand identity or relationship with your customers, something that you cannot do with the other channels, right? Yeah, so if you're doing this for a long haul, you want to do this. People now know Odukar. They know us. They trust us for what we do, and this has been built over time. Now, if I was selling in Gigi or Jumia, then I wouldn't have created this brand identity, right? Yes, then you have customer data ownership. It's all on you. You have the customer numbers, you have their email addresses, you know their names, you've interacted with them directly. They are now part of a family. Okay, you don't have this data when you go to a marketplace like Jumia. You don't have this information. It is concealed. And then you have better profit margins. Of course, here there is no one is taking your commissions. All the profit margins fall back on you. So this is really awesome. The problem is that you have high initial setup costs. Imagine the cost of website design for an e-commerce store, a very good one. You're looking at over 1 million UGX. Then there is continuous hosting fees. That's roughly 200k plus. Then there is also maintenance, because these websites break down. They need to be upgraded. Software needs to be updated, and so forth, right? So you'll probably have to pay somebody to do that maintenance here and there, as and when it's needed. Okay, so that is like one of the biggest. And if you take notice, actually, all the online stores that started like a year, when you visit them, you'll find that either the domain is expired, the website is down, something is completely off. So yes, I've monitored this and I've realized this problem here. Then you have to build marketing and generate traffic and drive traffic to your website. It's not like a marketplace where the traffic is already there, okay, and the marketing and advertising costs are on the marketplace owner. Here you have to build your own marketing funnel and find ways of actually driving people to your website. And if you don't know anything about digital marketing, this can be a very big problem, and your store will quickly become a ghost town, which you don't want. Then you have complexity in logistics, payment systems, and legal. Yes, so logistics, you have to handle it yourself. How the product gets from you to the customer, you have to figure it out. I'm going to talk about this later. Payment processing, you have to integrate the payment processing method on your store. Again, this is a very complicated process. And then the legalities that are involved in terms of data protection, in terms of return policy, shipping, and so forth. It's all on you. Okay. So let's keep going. Yes. Now, if you're going to build your own online store, essentially you have about let's see, there are a number of options here that I've listed. My biggest and my favorite actually is, okay, let me admit George. You're welcome, George. My favorite is WordPress with a plugin called WooCommerce. It is open source, it's free, it's absolutely robust. It is really, really fully fledged, and it is also easy to use. Somebody can easily integrate with it. Okay, so if you're going to build an online store and you don't want so much headache, then you can just use WordPress WooCommerce. Okay, it's actually what we use at Odukar. Then you have Shopify. So Shopify provides you with a platform to create your own store, and it provides a couple of things there that make running a store easy out of the box. Although it's not suited for Uganda yet, unless you have a US bank account. Okay, so because they are not in Africa yet, I wouldn't really recommend this, because you'll need a US bank account. Then there are a couple of things that don't really work very well here, like the addressing system and so forth. So yeah, but if you're selling to the US or internationally, then you probably want to consider Shopify. It really simplifies things quite a bit. And then you have other e-commerce e-commerce platforms like BigCommerce, Magenta, Wix, and Squarespace. Again, these ones require somebody who has worked with them, and they know the features that these platforms offer, and if they work for you. But essentially, I would absolutely recommend WordPress WooCommerce and Shopify if you plan to sell globally. Yes. Now let's talk about handling delivery. Yeah. So here in Uganda, in Kampala, borders are essentially the logistics network. They're the logistics fabric of the city, and for a very good reason. They are very swift, and they're extremely reliable and very, very fast, right? And because of that, you have actually a lot of courier companies that utilize these borders, including Safe Border. They have Safe Border packages that is built into the application. Although recently it became extremely expensive for me, so actually just order a safe border as a regular ride and make a delivery. Yes, but they're working out something around there. Then you have CourierMate. This is a company that actually used for quite a bit. They are dedicated to deliveries. Their pricing is fair. They are very efficient. The drivers are competent. They are trained and so forth. There are people that haven't added here, like Glovo. Actually, Glovo also started doing deliveries for anybody, not just restaurants. So yeah, think about that when you're delivering. But if your customers are nationwide, then the border will not work. You need to use people like Pink Tie or Godel or even Jumia. Jumia has a third-party delivery platform where they deliver countrywide. Yes, right. Okay. So let's keep going. Then you have let's talk about payment options that you can use. The default really is cash on delivery. Absolutely no brainer because of the trust issues, right? So if somebody makes an order on your store, then they will not pay immediately. What happens is that when the product is delivered to them, then they will pay for that product on delivery, usually using cash, and sometimes they can actually also pay using mobile money. So I've had customers who actually when pay using mobile money on delivery, what I call MMOD, mobile money on delivery. For bigger purchases like TVs and fridges and so forth, there are customers who pay via bank using like Flexi Pay by Stanbic Bank, for example. Because mobile money, as the ticket price increases, the cost of the taxes on withdrawal and whatever become really untenable. So people prefer to just use bank instead on delivery. Yes. Now, for customers who have built trust with you, these guys can choose to pay electronically on the website even before the product is actually delivered. And so here you can use mobile money again integrated and Visa card payments as well. The number of payment gateways that support this, like Flutterwave or DOP, for example, or Yo Uganda, that provide a platform for integrating directly with your website. I wouldn't really bother with this until I really have good traction and I've built a relationship with my customers. For the most part, people are going to go with cash on delivery, and so this whole integration business is a bit of a waste of time initially. Yeah. So let's keep going. As I mentioned earlier, one of the biggest things that you have to do is marketing and advertising, because people don't really know where you are. Unlike in a shopping mall or a store that is adjacent to a road, the road already is a marketing channel for you, or the mall is a marketing channel. So most of the people who sell in malls or on shops don't spend much on advertising because there's already inherent advertising. But for you who is selling online, you have to continuously pull people to your platform. You have to continuously direct people on your platform. And the way you do that is via digital advertising platforms. You can run Facebook ads, or you can run Google ads. Twitter has ads in there. Instagram has ads in there. You can also use SEO, search engine optimization. This is like free advertising actually. Right? Yes, to drive, or even social media optimization. Right. But you can also use offline channels like radio and TV. We've seen big marketplaces actually do that. Right? So run the ads for as low as $1 actually per day. Okay? On WhatsApp has ads now. Yes, and as well as Facebook. So that's something that you have to continuously do. So you have to put a marketing budget for your store. Otherwise, if you don't do that, then you'll have to have some serious way of pulling people, viral posts. You can also use actually influencer marketing. I haven't added it here, but it's extremely effective. you work with some influencers on social media who are able to, get the word out there and get your store visible. Okay, so let's keep going. Warehousing, I mentioned this. Yeah, you can use in-house warehousing, or you can utilize third-party fulfillment centers like Jumia or CourierMate. And I prefer in-house warehousing, at least for the start. And you can see my little cabin here. This is actually at home, and it stores some of the Odukar inventory. It's just one, but there are multiple cabins that I have at home stacked somewhere in the corner that actually stores my my inventory, right? So this is in-house warehousing. Now, if you don't have space, then you can rent space at a third-party fulfillment center like Jumia, or even maybe a friend shop somewhere actually can be a fulfillment center, right? If your customers are close to town, then you want to put your fulfillment center closer to where your customers are. Yeah, so if you do use things like Jumia Express, what they do is that they take in your inventory in their centers, and then when an order comes, instead of you taking the product to them, they just pick from whatever is in their warehouse and then deliver it to their customers, right? Okay, so let's keep going. Customer relations and support, you absolutely have to be extremely good at this if you want to succeed online. And for me, I put like 3 channels. Number one is the phone call. If you go to odukar.com, you'll actually see right at the home page here, you find two numbers, Airtel and MTN, that you have to call. So phone call support. Usually, actually, 40% of my orders come through a phone call, right? Somebody calls and they ask if you have this product in store, and I'm able to tell them whether it's there or not, and arrange for delivery and payment. Then WhatsApp, at least have one of your numbers available on WhatsApp. You can install WhatsApp for Business for this, right? Yeah, so you can instantly chat with your customers and offer instant support, and respond to queries really fast. Another very cheap method is actually a chat widget. I was very surprised about this one because actually people actually use it. When you go to Odukar, you'll find a chat widget there, and people actually use it, right? So to send queries and stuff. So it's actually very effective. I was very surprised. Then social media, you have to maintain those social media pages. All social media channels have a private chat messaging system somewhere. So people should be able to directly DM you, and please be there to respond. Okay? You don't want somebody to come and DM you and then you take forever to respond. So this is the hallmark of success online. Because again, you don't have that physical interaction with the customer. You're all separated by geographical barriers, or no? Yeah. So let's keep going. This is the final slide, and I just want to briefly talk about Odukar e-commerce solutions. What we have in store. Yes, number one is an e-commerce. We do e-commerce website development. As I mentioned earlier, this is one of the biggest cost or stumbling block to setting up an e-commerce presence, right? Most people shy away from this for very many reasons, from the cost to the complexity to the maintenance. A lot of people don't know how it really works, but we are able to offer that to our customers at a very low cost, as low as 1.5. Yes, then we have a WhatsApp shop setup. This is one of the effective ways actually to run an e-commerce whatever platform. WhatsApp shop is very robust. You can even set up a catalog in there, and people can browse your catalog right from their phones and see what you have and directly DM you, all within WhatsApp. Then we can also do drop shipping. This is where we list your product and on Odukar, and when we get an order, then we can get it from you and then send it to the customer. So we handle the logistics and payment on your behalf, and we then charge whatever commission on it. And then Odukar Marketing Plus, this is where we advertise your product on our social media channels and emailing list as well to our existing customers. So if you have something that you want to push, then you can use our existing marketing channels and our customer base to get to you to sell your product. So you can read more on this URL that I've shared down here, right? Yes, I'll be sharing it later. Okay, so that's it. I'll now invite some questions and comments from you guys. Yes, awesome.